Welcome to Make You Remarkable, brought to you by Oconee State Bank, the podcast that's all about unleashing your inner leader and making an impact on your community. Get ready for a wild ride of inspiration, education, and a whole lot of fun. Each week, we sit down with local legends, business owners, and influential minds to talk about their journey, their impact, and the secrets behind their incredible success. This is not your ordinary bank podcast. We're here to bring the energy, the laughs, and the aha moments that'll leave you itching to conquer the world. Now get ready to make your remarkable with your host, JT Tomlin.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Make You Remarkable, hosted by Oconee State Bank. I'm JT Tomlin, and today I'm joined by Lila Jimenez, the founder and brand identity designer of Color Creative in Athens, Georgia. Color is a design studio that specializes in brand identity and website design. Lila, the brilliant mind behind the Color Creative team, works with many local Athens companies to improve their brand identity. Brands like Athens Farmers Market, Condor Chocolates, and AdPipe, and many, many more. Lila, we're so excited that you're here today. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, JT. I'm very excited to be here. So I'm Lila. I started Color Creative back in 2022, and we've been doing a lot of brand identity and website projects for mostly local Athens businesses. We have a couple of clients in different locations, but we really love working with businesses in our Athens community because we get to see firsthand the results of our hard work.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's so cool. I mean, I think the Athens creative community is so connected. I think it's awesome that you're working with local companies. I mean, that's so cool. So you started your company in 2022. Did COVID change or inspire anything about the creation of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So during COVID, I was working at a t-shirt shop here in Athens. It was my first job out of school. I graduated right before the pandemic, so I had the last walk-in graduation before everything was virtual.
Oh, cool.
But I was working at a t-shirt shop, and it was kind of monotonous work. It was a lot of birthday t-shirt designs. I didn't get to use my creativity a whole lot, but I did get really fast at designing and built up my technical skills working at that job because we had to design in 15 minutes or less. So
wow.
Yeah.
You
Anyways,
really learn your tools.
Oh, I surely did. But that job did allow me to kind of save my creativity for after work. So during COVID, I did a lot of personal projects. I had kind of figured out in school that I really liked branding. So that's what I was doing with those personal projects, just kind of making my own brief so that I could build up my portfolio, which was really fun. But I think that kind of helps give me a foundation to actually have the confidence to reach out to clients and start a business.
What was your favorite fake brand that you made during that time?
Yeah, I love this question. So my favorite fake brand that I made was a coffee brand called Mondays.
Okay.
And I really kind of played into this idea of sarcasm and the whole idea that Mondays really suck, but Monday's coffee can make your Monday better.
That's brilliant.
A lot of Mondays in one sentence, but it was a super fun project to work on. So I built out everything from the coffee can designs to merch to signage to the little punch card. I got to make up designs for all of these things that I really wanted to do, which was a really cool experience. And I also, we talked about this a little before, but I really like working in parameters. So kind of having guidelines to work within helps me make a brand that's more effective. So that's why with our clients now, we do a discovery meeting when we start our process. But with Mondays, I didn't have a client. It was just myself. So I kind of use social media to get feedback from people to help make those decisions for me about what the brand would be like.
So you're building your social media presence and your portfolio at the same time.
Yes, exactly. And pretending like I was working with a client,
Even
which
better.
was really fun.
Fake it till you make it. You have to.
Yeah, I surely did. But yeah, I did a lot of personal projects. And then I ended up getting connected with Hinge Creative Co., which is another design studio in Athens. They work with a lot of female-owned businesses. But Hannah there was so gracious to me. She really took me under her wing. I worked at Hinge for, I think, almost 2 years in different capacities. But that kind of helped launch my career and gave me the confidence to know that I could have a business for myself. And Hannah was super supportive throughout the whole process. She knew when she hired me that I wanted to have my own studio, and she wasn't scared or competitive. She was always super supportive and giving me the tools that I needed to succeed as well.
I feel like that's the cool thing about Athens. And like we talked about this a little bit earlier, but Athens really is so small, but also so big at the same time. Like everyone has these connections within the business community. And it really is cool to see how, you'll scratch their back, they'll scratch yours.
Yeah.
There's not much competition when it comes, especially to the creative community.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses in Athens have more of a, like, we're all helping each other towards the same goal mindset instead of a competitive mindset, which is really nice. And not something you see every day. And that is a good word about Athens businesses too. I feel like businesses in Athens are so willing to support each other. I've had so many instances where I've like asked someone for something that felt like a really big ask, and they're like, oh yeah, absolutely, we can do that.
Right.
Everyone's just so supportive of each other.
Like, I need help. And like, sure.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Yeah, I'll help you.
Well, going back to like your business, tell us more about the name Color Creative. Like, what does it mean? Why did you choose it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was first doing freelance work, I was just freelancing under my name. But I knew that I wanted to have a company that would grow into a studio where we had a couple of employees. So I wanted to do something other than my name because it felt weird for people to say, yeah, I work for Lila Jimenez Designs. Like, so I did a big like mind mapping exercise where I was just writing down all kinds of things about what I thought our work was like then, what I wanted it to be. And some of the words that I wrote down that really stood out were warm and bright and colorful, which is something that kind of plays into all of the branding that we do. Most people are looking for something that's a little more vibrant and fun. So I was writing down all those words, kind of like trying to come up with words in English that sounded good with creative, because I wanted that to be like the back half of the name. But I also studied Spanish in college. I minored in Spanish. So I had this love for the Spanish language as well. So calor in Spanish means warmth or heat. And it felt like the perfect word to describe what we were doing. And the more I thought about it, it kind of reflects the bright colors and warm colors that we use often in designs, but it can also refer to like a relationship, like having warmth towards another person, which is something that I think has always been a value for our company, is like listening to our clients and having a good relationship with them throughout the process.
I love that. I feel like that's so cool. And it speaks to your company. I mean,
thank you.
The connection that you have with your customers and the connection you have to have with your clients, I love it. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, branding is a weirdly personal experience for a lot of people.
Right.
I think it's something that I've discovered. It's not just like, hey, make this thing for my brand. It's like people are so attached to their company and what it represents. So it's like, I feel honored every time somebody hires us to go through that process with them to like visually represent what they are doing.
That's such a realization. Like, it really is. It's not just a logo for most people.
Yeah.
It really is like the culmination of all their hard work.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I really like how you said that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Well, kind of going into that, why is it so important for a brand to have an identity and not just a logo?
Yeah. So we get this question a lot with potential clients. A lot of people will reach out to us just asking for a logo and are kind of surprised when we say like, we don't do just a logo. They're like, wait, what? But we like to tell our clients that your logo is just one piece of your brand. So when thinking about branding, I think a lot of people define it differently. But what I like to say is that branding is kind of like your reputation. So everything that you do in a company comes together under your brand. So your marketing, your advertising, your copy, your logo, your colors, your fonts, all of those are pieces that play into the reputation of what you're doing. So we like to help clients have all the tools they need visually and with words and copy as well, so that they're armed to kind of like put out what they want their reputation to be, or at least steer people in that direction.
Awesome. Like a lot of people don't think about branding as that reputation. Like it really is, just the logo. So
Yeah.
kind of starting to think about that more and starting to understand like, oh, maybe I don't have a brand identity. Or what are some signs that brands don't have an identity?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think deep down, every brand has what they want their identity to be. But I think one sign that they don't have something laid out with guidelines on how to show that identity is using different fonts in every graphic, using different colors, maybe using different illustration styles on different media that feel like super separate. So anything that feels not consistent is usually a sign that there are not those underlying guidelines.
Like if your brand has multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
If it has too many different, okay, I got it. So do y'all work with companies that already have a logo and really just need the tools or the story behind their logo?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've done a lot of work with companies who are already somewhat established, have their logo, and have built recognition around that logo. So instead of like scrapping it and starting from scratch and doing something completely different, a lot of times we do a brand refresh.
Okay.
Which is where sometimes we will tweak the logo a little bit to make it look more satisfying, but also build up the system around it. So bringing in set colors to use, set fonts, different design elements that they can use in different graphics online and stuff.
Like giving them the tools they need to really tell that story.
Exactly, yeah. We like to say that we're giving you like a toolkit of pieces that you can put together.
I like that. That's awesome. What are some tips that you can give our audience to help them improve their personal brand or professional brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of branding designers would agree with me in saying that consistency is one of the most important things you can do as a brand. So building that recognition by using the same fonts, the same colors. And I've heard a lot of people say that being consistently bad is better than being all over the place. So even if you haven't like paid for a super professional branding kit, as long as you're being consistent, you're still helping drive that recognition of your brand.
Got it. That's funny that like being consistently bad is better than being all over the place.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. If you see the same colors on a graphic every time, you're more likely to remember what the company is.
What is the best kept secret in the branding business?
So that's a tough question. I feel like the best kept secret is that your logo does not have to do all of the heavy lifting for your brand, which is unfortunately the best kept secret because branding is all about having pieces that are consistent throughout your whole brand. But I feel like a lot of times companies put a lot of pressure on their logo to be like the one recognizable thing about their brand. One of the biggest jokes in graphic design, which I'm sure you heard of this, is can you make the logo bigger? It's like it's a meme in the design world about feedback from clients. But somebody told me once, which I feel like this is really kind of mind-blowing, is that if a client is asking you to make the logo bigger, it's probably because the graphic doesn't feel on brand. So it might not be because the logo is not prominent enough. It might be because the design doesn't reflect what the company's actually doing.
That's powerful.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's like a whole nother way to think about that feedback. Like if somebody ever says, can you make the logo bigger? I'm like, okay, something's not right with the rest of it.
Like they don't connect with the piece. And so what they're asking for is to make the thing they do connect with more prominent.
Right.
So if you can make it connect with their brand better, all of a sudden,
you don't need to make
they might
bigger.
still ask for it, but like maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Kind of going down that front, what is something that people just don't know about your industry?
I think it's in the same direction as just like a lot of times people don't know what branding is. And I think a lot of people have kind of come up with different definitions of branding. It's a super big buzzword in companies right now. It's like, oh, does it match our branding? But a lot of times people aren't talking about the same thing. So it kind of goes back to that whole reputation. When you say branding, you're talking about literally every piece of your brand and making sure it feels cohesive. And so what we do is obviously we can't touch every piece of your brand. Just we're a team of 3. It's kind of unrealistic, but what we can do is lay out guidelines for your visual brand and your messaging so that you have something to bounce off of.
Got it.
Does this feel right?
Yeah, those guidelines, that toolkit that you need.
Exactly.
Changing the subject just a little bit, our podcast is called Make You Remarkable. And something we ask every guest is, what does that mean to you?
So this is a cool question. I'm looking at the sign on the wall. But the first thing that I thought about when I heard that phrase was make your mark, which is kind of cool for me because that's really what we do with our clients is we help them make their mark on the community. So for me, make you remarkable kind of means making that mark in a way that's above average and gets people to stop and look at your brand and think, I want to be a part of that.
And the cool thing is y'all are actually making marks.
We are making marks.
You're making logo marks. And
literally making marks.
There's two purposes. How can that, when someone sees a logo that you've made for this brand, how are they going to respond?
Exactly.
And so you're not just making your own remarkable, you're making other companies remarkable or helping them make their own remarkable.
Yeah, which is really cool. It's cool to think about because I've thought about what are our successes as a company, and thinking down that line, every time I think about it, it's what are our customer successes? Because if our customers do well after working with us, it's a win for us too.
Right. I think it's easy to look at your own brand and then you're all of a sudden you're well, I'm designing for other companies. So how are they doing?
Yeah.
That's really our success.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Personally, how have you made your remarkable?
This is a good question too. I feel personally, I'm so attached to Color as a brand. So I feel everything that Color does feels like a win for me too. But I'll never get over the feeling of being out and seeing something that I designed up. Literally seeing the marks that I made around town is a really cool experience for me. And it just, I don't know, it feels so cool every time. I don't think it'll ever get old.
Do you remember the first time you saw someone walking past with a bag that had your logo on it?
So I remember the first time that I saw a sign that I had designed in public. So when we first started, we were working with a lot of companies that didn't have physical locations.
Okay.
But the first sign that I saw, we did the branding design for Dark Horse Tattoo on the east side.
Okay, yeah.
And I used to live on the east side, and I was driving down that road, down Gaines School Road, and I passed the sign, and I was I did a U-turn, and I was just parked in the parking lot to stare at the sign. I was wow, I can't believe that I made this, and it's up.
That's got to be so surreal.
It was really cool.
You're this is not just a sign to me. This is everything I've worked for.
This is it. This is it. It was a good moment.
That's so cool. I mean, it's got to be your stomach just drops. You're oh my gosh, that's there.
Yeah, I didn't know it was up either, so it was really took me by surprise.
That's even more fun. They didn't tell you. You just saw it.
I know.
You got to see it. It's got to be cool to see people wearing shirts or merch and all of that.
Yeah, it is. I feel I still nerd out about it. We did a merch collection at one point called the Saturday Collection, and we designed these hats, and it was it had a goat on it, and it looked kind of like the vintage Bulldog logo for UGA. But fun fact, the first mascot for UGA was a goat. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah.
Actually?
Yes, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Their first mascot was a goat. And I was oh my gosh, this would be so funny if we made this vintage collection with a goat on a hat. And then also, greatest of all time. And winning all the championships and stuff. It felt right. But we designed this hat, and I was at the farmer's market, and there was this guy walking around wearing the hat, which I guess he got online. And I ran up to him, and I was excuse me, I designed that. It was so awkward, but I was so excited about it. I was I have to tell this guy.
I don't know how to make this unawkward, but
thank you for your purchase. I made that. And he was oh, okay.
That's mine.
This hat. Thanks. Yeah, it was fun.
That's incredible. Going back to remarkable though, how does Color Creative create remarkable experiences for the people they serve?
Yeah, so like I said, when we were thinking about the name and everything, kind of thinking about the warmth we have towards customers, one of the things that I really try to incorporate into all of our branding packages is making the experience fun. Because it is fun. It's fun to think about where you are as a company, where you've been, what all you've done. Like, I think sometimes people don't get the chance to sit and reflect. So when we do our discovery meetings, it's really fun to hear clients talk about all the things that they've accomplished in the time that they've been in business. And so we always just try to have good relationships with our clients and keep all of our meetings fun and exciting. I mean, there's enough boring things that we have to deal with in a day, and I don't want a branding project with us to be one of them.
I mean, that's awesome because it really is. It's almost like getting a new wardrobe for companies.
Yeah.
Like you're changing your look.
I'm your
like, let's have
makeover.
fun. Yeah.
Your stylist.
It's not sad. It's not like boring. It's super fun.
Yeah. And I think sometimes like we do a lot of work with strategy and making decisions for specific purposes, but I think it's easy to get kind of bogged down in those decisions. And so we try to get people to kind of like lighten up about the process too.
Right.
Because sometimes I think people take everything a little too seriously, and it's fun to push them to use their creativity as well, because everyone's creative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good word.
Yeah.
Seriously. Everyone needs to know that. I mean, everyone truly is creative. Everyone's got parts of creativity
Agreed.
in them. All right. So now we're going to get into our lightning round. These are just fun questions.
I'm ready.
We have not talked about these at all yet. So she has no idea what questions are coming her way. So these are not prepared. First and foremost, we're going to do like some more businessy ones and then some really fun ones.
Okay.
Share a personal or professional best.
Ooh, okay. So, this is the first thing I thought of, and this is super recent, which is why I'm excited about it. But I've been trying to kind of get back into creativity away from a screen because I spend all my day doing like branding design and doing stuff on the computer. So I actually just designed and painted a mural that's going to be hung in the College Avenue deck downtown. And I'm so excited about it. I think they're hanging it this week. So
is that the one that is across from the Capitol?
I think so.
That's my favorite deck.
Oh,
that's so cool.
good to know.
That is so awesome. Are you doing the one that's like right by the flowers? Are you doing a new mural there?
So they're going to be in the stairway of that parking deck on the inside, I believe.
Oh,
maybe on
where they have.
Maybe on the
That's
outside.
awesome.
I don't know, but I
will
painted
definitely
it
be
on.
going to see that.
It was a 4x8 foot panel,
Okay.
and so I like did the design. And I was like, oh yeah, it'll be fun. And then I got selected, and then I picked up the panel, and it's like massive.
You're
and I'm
it's
like,
the size of me.
I have not painted in years. This is crazy. But I finished it and turned it in. I'm really excited about how it turned out. So
That is so cool. What is the most impactful piece of advice you've ever been given?
So one of the things that has really stuck with me throughout branding specifically is one of my mentors. They're called Chutzpah Design. They're out of California. But one time, one of them said that they only work with clients that they truly believe in.
Wow.
Which was like, I was like, wow, like great to be so selective of your clients that you work with. But it's so true. Like everybody that we work with, we believe in their product or service, and it makes it so much easier to make branding that's exciting and feels right for them because we're actually excited about it.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. What is something that you always tell your staff or your families? Like, what's your mantra?
So this is something that I talk about. So with our staff, we have Raphael, who's my husband, who does our website design, and we just hired a junior designer named Mia. And so for a while, Raphael and I have said, we get to do this today. He actually has it written like on a sticky note on his computer, but I think it's easy to get stressed out and bogged down. So it's something that we have to like tell ourselves like, hey, this is awesome that we get to do what we love every single day and have made this like business for ourselves.
That's really cool. I mean, it's so easy, especially I think every business owner will connect with that.
Yeah.
Like you're doing what you love and you're super excited, but then all of a sudden all the work hits you and you're like, oh my gosh, this is too much.
And you're like stressed and
you're like,
just,
wait, I wanted to do this. I get to do this.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Thanks.
What is the best and worst color pairing? But I think I'm going to change that to be what is your favorite and your least favorite color pairing?
So recently, this is like a design no-no, but I love it. I've been pairing red and yellow together.
Okay.
I feel like people have a hard time with yellow text on red backgrounds or red text on yellow backgrounds, but I've been using that color combination a lot in different designs. And the worst color pairing? That's a tough question. I'm sure if I saw one, I could tell you that I don't like it. I am not a fan of anything that's like gray, but that's a personal preference. Like gray and gray, I'm like, what's the fun in that? So that one I'm just not about.
That's why I think I like the favorite over best and worst, because it's all subjective. I mean, it really is.
It is subjective. And there are like obviously guidelines about what's accessible and what
right.
like what is good for clients to see on your website or on a graphic. But
that's the other reason you need a designer, is because most people just don't think about the accessibility function of a logo.
So true.
What is your favorite font?
Another hard question. Okay, there's a couple that I've been using a lot. I really love getting fonts off of Creative Market. This is not an answer to your question, but I use Creative Market a lot because they're like smaller typeface designers who build out fonts that are pretty affordable. One of my favorite fonts is by Chutzpah, who I mentioned earlier. It's called Beverly Drive Right. It's like a script font and it looks very retro, but I actually talked with them about this. We were laughing because every time you put it in a design, like I'm like, oh, I need a script font as kind of like an accent. Let me just try Beverly Drive Right, and it works every single time. And
oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's been one of my go-tos recently.
Awesome. What is the best tip for beginners looking to get into branding?
That's a good question. There are a lot of resources online. One of the first things that I did was I took this course called Freelance and Business and Stuff. So I guess it's not super branding specific, but it's about having your own creative business. And that was like super helpful to the foundation of my career. As far as branding, I think there are a lot of good resources on YouTube to help you kind of learn what all goes into it and how to think strategically about things like that.
I feel like YouTube is like the new apprenticeship program. Like you can just go and learn from everyone.
Oh yeah, YouTube University.
Oh yeah.
I'm a fan.
That is in my LinkedIn bio. I'm like, I graduated from YouTube University.
Amazing. So did I.
It's so helpful.
Can't believe we didn't run into each other.
I know, right?
It's
such a small world.
Yeah.
What is your favorite and least favorite design trend?
I really, really dig the retro design trends. Anything that's like kind of grainy and with texture, and I just love it. I'm not as much of a fan of the 70s design trend, like in very specific instances. I like it sometimes, but sometimes I feel like there's this like new version of the 70s, if you know what I mean, that I'm not into as much.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
I say that we just did a brand that has like 70 stripes in it, and then I'm going to post about like next week. So,
except for that brand.
Except for that one. Theirs looks really great.
Well, like you said, there's specific instances. If it's done right, if I do it.
If I do it, it's fine. Yeah, no.
Okay, so as we wrap up, tell us where to find you. Like your socials, website, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is colorcreative.design.
Okay.
You can also get there by colorcreative.com if you're feeling lazy. And then on Instagram, we are at Color Creative, and that's CALOR.
Awesome.
Color.
Well, seriously, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been an awesome episode.
Thanks for having me.
I cannot wait to see Monday Coffee come around sometime in the near future.
I will send it right to you after this so you can check it out.